Hello and welcome to the first annual Wege Prize Collaborative Studio presentations. My name is Gail DeBryan. I'm chair of the Collaborative Design and Master of Arts and Design programs at Kendall College of Art and Design of Ferris State University, as well as a sustainability officer for KCAD, as we like to call our college. We're thrilled to have you joining us today, whether you're with us on campus at KCAD or here virtually via the live stream. COVID has kept us apart so long, and we're thankful to have been able to be together in person for this unique experience. Today, we will witness the power of collaboration as we listen to the creative solutions these students came up with that address some of the most wicked problems our world faces. They worked hard and they worked quickly, and the results are truly astounding. It is important to recognize our past in order for us to take better steps forward into our future. So, before we go any further, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank the original inhabitants and stewards of this land. The three fires, the Anishinaabe, the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi. The Wege Prize High School Collaborative Studio was started with a goal of introducing inspired and creative high school students to collaborative problem solving and the design thinking process. Over the past 2 weeks, these students have conducted research, explored the world around them, spoken to community leaders, and utilized their transdisciplinary makeup to tackle some of the most wicked and complex problems facing the world today. This is our first year showcasing the work of the Wege Collaborative High School Schoolers, and we couldn't be more proud of what they've accomplished. This workshop would not have been possible without the wonderful guest speakers and educators that have helped guide the students through their process and research. Special thanks to Bridget Clark-Whitney from Kids Food Basket, David Marquardt from the Grand Rapids Parks and Recreation, from Colin Webster, who zoomed in from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, Kristen Wieland from Kent County Sustainable Business Park, Wesley Watson from the West Michigan Sustainable Business Forum, Carrie Bliss from Padness, Wendy Ogilvy from Elgrow, Zoe Carmichael from Carmichael Consulting, Tom Newhouse from Newhouse Design, Elise Bond from the KCAD Library, Marilyn Fritz, KCAD Interior Design Associate Professor, and our own Taryn McCracken, President of KCAD. Nothing you see here today would be possible without the continued financial support of the Wege Foundation. For over 50 years, the foundation has been planting seeds that developed leaders in economicology, health, education, and the arts, while enhancing the lives of people here in West Michigan and around the world. We are beyond grateful for the Foundation's leadership and support, and we look forward to continuing the important work of both the Wege Prize Collaborative Studio and the Wege Prize competition in 22 and beyond. I'd also like to thank the KCAD Wege Center for Sustainable Design for supporting the Wege Prize from the beginning. This program simply would not be possible without the creativity, experience, and perspective KCAD brings to the table as a College of Art and Design. Just a few more pieces of information before we begin. Be sure to share your support and cheer for your teams on social media. We're using the hashtag WegeCollab. Also be sure to connect with us on social media by following Wege Prize on Facebook and by following the KCAD Wege Center for Sustainable Design on LinkedIn. You can join today and start connecting with other folks around the world preparing for the big Wege Prize competition. And another thank you to everyone who made this studio possible. We are looking forward to watching this program grow, develop, and spread across the world in years to come. It's been our honor and privilege to work with these amazing students. I miss them already. Their dedication and commitment to bettering the world around us is inspiring. And I know I'm not alone when I say I cannot wait to see the amazing things they will continue to do. We're also lucky to have this amazing Q&A team to respond to the presentations and provide constructive feedback. Tara McCracken, president of KCAD. Kyle Austin, our content coordinator and Wege Prize genius. Lisa Bond, director of the KCAD library, and Tom Newhouse Design. We thank you all so much for being here and helping these students move forward with their projects. So we have 3 teams presenting. Each team will have 10 minutes, and there'll be 10 minutes for Q&A, and a little bit of time in between for a switch up. Each member of the team will be sharing a different section of the presentation. Everyone gets a chance to present. And if you are here in person, there will be a little bit of time to meet and greet afterwards, so please stay around. So without further ado, our first presentation will be from Team Coach in Communities and their solution for regenerative makerspace.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Riley, and we are here to present Coaching Communities, a workshop on wheels with you all today. I would like to introduce to you the rest of the team.
My name is Jordan.
My name is Esteban.
My name is Leo.
My name's Cece.
It only takes one person to take action, to share an idea, to move a community, and to make a difference. What is your passion? What gets you up in the morning and fires you up? What is your fire?
We are failing our Earth and our future generations. A circular economy is the only solution. But how can we bring that directly into communities in a bottom-up way? Grand Rapids lacks a makerspace, which most other large cities have. According to professors Adrian Smith and Ann Light, a makerspace brings forth creative freedom and innovation. But due to outside systems, they are often exclusive, immobile, and unsustainable. Very few makerspaces have intentional systems in place to maintain regenerative cycles and inclusivity in their community.
There is a proverb that I love, and I'm pretty sure most of you have heard it as well. Give a man a fish, and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. Our group does not want to solve our community's problems. We want the community to solve their own problems. And we came up with a little acronym for it, GRUB. We believe everybody should have the chance to grow, to repurpose, to utilize their community, and to be innovative.
Grand Rapids is enriched with innovative business, like members of the Sustainable Business Forum. However, we live in a linear society where materials are extracted, used, and then wasted. Transitioning to a cyclical system with closed-loop supply chains will build a regenerative, sustainable, and green future. So imagine if we have a space where everyone, no matter their disposition, could collaboratively design circular solutions for an enriched community and a better tomorrow.
So to solve the issue of not having a makerspace in Grand Rapids, we decided to use a bus. Well, to be more specific, we're going to call it a Build It bus. This will be a reclaimed bus from a recycling plant that will be stripped out from the inside. There will be plenty of storage, such as shelves, as you can see, that will all hold different types of tools and materials for gardening, building, and making art. There will be a crate with straps to hold bigger tools, such as a lawnmower, a saw, and other types of stuff that can also be used. There's plenty of storage to also hold other things, and it's also accessible and made for all ages. This bus will only be holding repurposed and recycled materials, and also it is intentionally regenerative. And it also has solar panels to cut down on carbon emissions. I'll hand it off to Jordan now.
So say in your neighborhood, the Build It bus is parked in your local library, and you've always had this dream to make a tiny library in your front yard where passersby can exchange used books. You have some wood scraps in your garage, but you don't have the tools or knowledge to be able to put this together. But at the Build It bus, you're able to meet your neighbor, who is a retired woodshop teacher, and he agrees to help you build the tiny library out of materials from the bus. You are fabricating solutions for the community by the community. Also at the bus, we will host circular economy workshops that educate the community. Later that night, you go to a product teardown event. You take apart a hairdryer and realize how unsustainable our products have been designed, and they are very unrecyclable. The next day, you go back to the Build It library and you go to visit the community tool shed, where you rent out an electric lawnmower and you spruce up your yard so that it looks nice for the new tiny library.
Our material analysis, of course, entails our used retrofitting bus. And our materials will be reclaimed from local sources. So this will include the recycling facilities. This will include our local recycling centers, waste management companies, landfills, Michigan Materials Marketplace, construction sites, and all that kind of stuff. We will be deriving our tech equipment and our tools from donations, and we will be refixing machines so they can be reused.
To start this project, it would be about 10 to 30K. You would have the countertops and all of the cabinets in that cost. The value of things being taken home is immense. You could use these valuable skills in your everyday life, and they are from paid instructors, so the sources are credible. A community full of art is a community full of culture. The people of all ages and backgrounds come together to form these unique ideas and different solutions that most people wouldn't have the chance to do unless you go to this area where we all can come together and it's a safe environment for everyone to feel equal.
This is our prototyping. We plan to start out small, like with a shed that everyone can come and get tools from, and slowly we'll move to hopefully a bus and maybe more buses that can go throughout different communities. But the important question is, why does spreading awareness for our idea cause a change? It supports what we're doing and supports communities. It gives us a chance to have more funding and more partnerships that are interested in our cause. Esteban?
But of course, with a project like this, there's going to be a couple bumps in the road, mainly money, and mainly we have none. We've tallied up a bit of a cost, or a bit of a debt that we'll have, $5,500 a year to pay for education. $10,000 obviously was thrown around to renovate a bus and maintain it. We have really no outreach in the communities that we're going to be serving because we're going to be driving into them. And safety and tool misuse is going to be an issue. People typically don't know how to use the tools that they've never used before. So to be successful, we're going to need experts, and we need to access the educational or access education and safety in our community. Jordan said it could come from anywhere. It could be your neighbor. It could be any people in this room. We also will need consistent community involvement. We want them to help us help them. And if we can't get that, then we really can't be successful. We're also going to need money, and a lot of it. And that revenue will come from donations, grants, pretty much any way to get money. I'll sell the socks off my feet if I have to. But our final takeaway is that we want to equip communities to cultivate circular solutions, solve their own problems, and become proficient in being innovative. These are our resources, and this is the artwork that we used. Most of it, in fact, all of it was done by members of this group. Jordan Fridsma, Leo Tuttle, Cece Vardell, great artists. Thank you very much.
Bravo, stay right there. Oh. All right, now is the time for some Q&A. And I'm going to look to the experts here at the table. And if you have a question or comment that you'd like to start with, I'm going to play the MC still.
I have a question about the start out with a little stationary building and then go to a bus. Why is that? Is that a practical step? Because it seems like the mobility of the concept, which I think is fantastic, is inherent in getting it out to enough people. So why start with a little shed?
Go big.
We might not know how much funding we may get in the first few years. So if we don't get enough money, then we might have to start out with a shed. But if more people want to support the cause, then we'll be able to move to a bus.
Okay, next question.
So you talked about safety. Have you considered, or how have you considered safety equipment? Eye safety, ear safety, that sort of thing.
Perfect presidential question.
I mean, it would be provided. Safety goggles aren't super expensive. They're not cheap, but if you buy enough of them, they're not racking up the price too high. Safety equipment, most of the technology that we're talking about will have emergency stops. Really, it's just getting people used to the equipment before they start using it. So classes that would help teach how to use, say, woodworking equipment would be necessary. And that's where most of the cost from that would come out of the education that we talked about.
Okay, safety first.
I don't have a question, but I'm going to say I totally perked up when I heard tiny library, which makes me think collaboration is a great thing. Libraries will definitely be on board, public, maybe even to provide materials for the tiny libraries. Experts, I think if you tapped in and collaborated with experts, say Home Depot or Lowe's, and you could get somebody from a corporation like that, not only would they maybe donate the expert time, but some of those supplies that would come and be needed for the equipment that you would be using. So I love it. I think it's a great idea.
Okay, way to know your audience. Play the audience. Really smart move. Okay, Kyle, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I just want to say, first of all, I really love the way that you're bringing a few different models together, both the idea of a makerspace that has, equitable access to these tools and materials that most people may not have laying around, but also this idea that the bus and the space can be a conduit for community and connection, so that leaning on your neighbor is maybe where you go the next time. Maybe you don't go to the bus all the time. I very much appreciate that model. I'm curious about a few things. Thinking back to the neighbor point, I think of the neighbor that borrows your tool and mysteriously still hasn't brought it back a year or two later. I'm curious, especially since this is envisioned as a mobile thing, that way it may move around, maybe go long distances between stops. How do you envision keeping track of your supplies that are meant to be returned to the space and have some sort of accountability there?
Interesting question.
Our idea was that we would keep a log sheet. So when they leave, we would know how much stock we still have. That may be an issue. We don't know how long they will keep it out, but that is something to work towards. And we would hope that the community is honest and that we would keep this going because it's so beneficial for everyone and it helps everyone. And we hope people appreciate what we are doing.
To add on to Riley, another idea was to also have certain kind of rental dates, which is another way that we could incorporate income, such as if you rented out a certain tool for a week, then it would cost this much, depending on like how expensive the tool is. So yeah.
Gosh, there's a lot of people answering this question. Trust is going to be always a thing that we're going to need to implement in these communities. People, I find, will always treat you with respect if you trust them. And a lot of times people who are trying to do similar things just are very, very I don't want to say selfish, but they don't want to trust their communities as much. They're scared that something might go missing. And if something does go missing, we hope that it's at least being used by the person who took it.
Yep, you bet.
I just want to say I love that answer. I think of a library. If many of you who use the library may know, they no longer charge late fees and have an extraordinary amount of resources available beyond books. And we're talking about the same type of thing. There's just trust there that library users will bring them back. There's no enforcement mechanism coming after you if you don't. So I appreciate that. I do think in the early going, you'd want to, like Elisa mentioned, explore some partnerships that might help you build a little bit of a safety net in terms of having access to extra tools if something goes missing, so you don't have that gap or that disruption in your service model.
And I just wanted to chime in that some of the public libraries, KDL, GRPL, actually do loan out types of equipment. And so again, you might be able to partner with them where those things are cataloged, they are tracked, they would be checked out via a library card. And they would be able to keep track of that material.
That's a beautiful way to wrap up this beautiful presentation. What a great team. Thank you very much. Rounds of applause. Take a bow. Thank you. All right, our next team is Luna's, and Luna's is going to pop up, and they're going to share their compelling and heartfelt work on housing homeless youth.
So we are Luna's community, and my name is Torn Hadran. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm a senior at the Museum High School.
Hi, I'm Estelle Metz. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a junior at East Grand Rapids High School.
Hello, I'm Aaron Zimmerman. I'm from Innovation Central High School.
Hello, my name is Nevaeh Martin. I'm a senior at C.A. Frost Middle High School, and I use she, her pronouns.
Hello, everyone. My name is Miguel Hernandez. I use he, him pronouns, and I go to City Heimer School.
So I have a question for all of you. How many unhoused youth do you think there are in West Michigan every day? Shout some numbers out. 2,000? Any others? Well, the answer on the next slide is more than 3,300 unhoused youth every day. We chose this topic because our team was passionate about looking deeper into a situation affecting so many of our peers in our community. Many people, when thinking of the unhoused, think of the adult population because that's who we see on the street every day. And as Gail loves to say, our assumptions are a bias. And I know personally, when I think about the unhoused, I think of older, wiser, weathered people who always have a winter coat. As we did more research, we found data on the youth of West Michigan. We decided to focus on them because they're our age and our demographics. Now Estelle will talk about the context and background.
Every day, 3,300 youth individuals are without a home in West Michigan. This is a shocking statistic we are trying to change. Children and youth can become homeless in many ways. Many youth individuals are homeless either because they're in between foster homes, they've aged out of foster care, they've run away from a poor family situation, or they have been kicked out by their families. Why are we focusing on youth? Unhoused youth are the most vulnerable amongst unhoused populations. They lack safety, security, and education their adult counterparts may have. Our brains are still developing until 25 years old. So when adolescents are exposed to traumatic events and homelessness, this is affecting their brain function. So you may be wondering, why don't these individuals go to homeless shelters? Many homeless shelters in the West Michigan area are first come, first serve and fill up very quickly. This leaves many youth in the streets at night. Now for Aaron for the stakeholder map and the overview of our solution.
Okay, so here you can see our stakeholder map. It was used really to figure out what was already being done within the region. That's why we got groups like shelters, mental health facilities, and it also showed us what people were directly tied within the problem, which is what helped us come up with LUNAS. So you can go to the next slide, Miguel. So LUNAS stands for learning. Oh, I got to scroll down this. Learning, understanding, nurturing, apprenticeship, and sustainability. Those are the 5 core principles of the solution and our goal at LUNAS community. We accomplish our goals by being a place to learn, by educating the residents of the LUNAS community with the knowledge to be able to provide for themselves, understand why our residents are in the situation to better aid their physical, emotional, and psychological needs, nurture our residents to be more confident and ready to eventually leave the LUNAS community and be able to live successfully outside of it, apprenticeship by offering job experience and qualifications to be able to join the American workforce. And at the core of it all is sustainability. And we execute sustainability in 2 ways. One, we teach our residents about sustainability and how to be sustainable in their everyday lives. And we incorporate it also into the operations of the LUNAS community, from the decisions we make to how we conduct ourselves. And the residents also do play a part in the circularity of the operation of LUNAS community by both providing maintenance and the cultivation of the safe space. And they are also taught to both utilize and understand why we do things circular and how that difference matters for them and others. I'm going on to Nevada and explain the technical piece.
To reiterate what Estelle said, children who are without homes due to a variety of reasons are far more likely to experience emotional, behavioral, and academic problems, including immediate long-term health problems. This creates issues with self-esteem and creates greater risk of substance abuse and suicide, among other worse outcomes. Children who identify as LGBTQ+ are particularly at risk, making up 15 to 20% or more of the youth population in West Michigan alone, that being the youth without homes. And these youth only have 21 churches to go to that are affirming out of 543. Shelters are first come, first serve, and few for unhoused youth. Maslow's hierarchy of needs highlights the need for a loving and nurturing home to thrive, and LUNA's community would provide this and more for these children. We would first strive to provide a therapeutic environment for the children that come to us in a state of crisis. Art and animal therapies are among the many therapies we would offer to the youth in LUNA's community. Paired with this, our adolescent residents will choose from 5 apprenticeships based on interest, those being living space maintenance and beautification, sewing and sorting donations for the Necessity Nook, landscaping and gardening, food preparation, and upkeep of shops that sell food and goods to the public. This would provide job experience for residents as well as valuable life skills. All of our residents will be taught basic skills of self-care, like how to take care of one's personal care needs, how to take care of their own space, and how to work together and treat others with empathy and kindness. Each of these programs would help our young residents navigate a world that may otherwise feel unsafe and help them find allies in new and unsure spaces. Our newest residents will be met with a member of our staff who would act as a youth intake mentor. Our staff would consist of social workers, OTs, SLPs, DMTs, art therapists, and admin staff. Admin staff will guide them through the intake process, and the rest work with them during their stay. Once checked in, they'd go to our youth-run Necessity Nook, where they'd grab necessities and entertainment, including books, toys, bedding, and toiletries. They'd go grab a meal in our resident restaurant. Once finished, they'd discard their waste into our compost and settle into their personal pod. Each resident is on a floor with their age group and corresponding set of mentors with an open access pantry, which allows them to grab prep-free snacks without question, promoting autonomy. For youth older than 18, LIST long-term residents would also allow them to be able to register to vote with staff, teaching them how to register and where to go when election time comes. All of this would allow these youth a safe, accepting, welcoming home where they can learn and grow without outside stresses, in turn creating successful, healthy adults who can create real change in our community. Now to Estelle for a model.
Our business model is a nonprofit, and since our solution requires a lot of funding, we will get this money through government grants, private donations, and support from local businesses. Now to Miguel for the closing statements.
To summarize things up, the unhoused are provided with opportunities and support to grow and live a healthy lifestyle. From the 3,000 unhoused, we're able to house 95 of them and provide them with resources and help that they need. Education, safety, resources, and security are our main goals and what we aim to achieve. Youth shelters quickly fill up, unlike our long-term facility. We serve 5 to 24-year-olds and young, very young for those who are in a situation with foster care. And those who are 18 or older may also qualify, and they may get education, job skills, and experience. Youth are the future, so let's make it a bright one. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Really well done. All right, now who wants to lead off some questions and comments? Kyle?
Fantastic presentation, everyone. Congratulations. Really impressed with the depth of research here. And I'm curious to know more about your experiences visiting some of the organizations here locally who are already working to attack this problem. And especially curious, did you have a chance to actually connect with any youth who are experiencing homelessness currently? And if so, what did you learn from them?
That's a tough question. Do you want to try it?
To answer your last part, because of the time frame, we were not able to go out and talk with the youth, but we do know of existing. I know myself, I worked with HQ before the pandemic, and I hope to work with them again after all this has gone away. But HQ is a really great one. Xavier, do you want to talk more?
The shelters here in West Michigan are typically temporary housing centers. This means that the residents that stay there for typically a week or sometimes even just a night. The main reason that we chose to become a long-term facility is because a lot of these facilities don't provide any sort of opportunity for change. These children still have to worry about where they're going to sleep the next night or the week or whenever their time is up. They don't have time to focus on education or their mental health or the betterment of themselves in general. So we decided to focus more on longer term stays and based on what we know about how these stays go and what really needs to be done for these kids.
I'll do a quick pitch for the big event that we do, the big prize. We encourage our students to work with topics they already have experience with. So in this case, these students did do some of that. And that helped move their research along a bit because they had some experience in this space.
So a question about you said the inherent innovation, I think, in your concept is long-term. How long do you see long-term? And then how does that integrate with junior high, high school curriculums, et cetera? Because if you have one place, now you've got to get the kids, young people from all over the urban area or metropolitan area. So how long, and then how do you mechanically do this?
So our reach would be probably from 3 months to maybe 24. We really want to make sure that we help these children in a way that can stick, and you cannot do that in 4 months. You can do that in a year or two. And the way this would work is based on when children come to the facility, they could be looking for really temporary housing where they already have something hooked up for themselves, like children who are just out of foster care. They're waiting to get their lease to go through. They could be there for a week. They could be there for many weeks. The way we would run this is all of our adolescent residents, as I mentioned, would work within the facility to help each other. So cleaning up spaces, sewing products that would go to the shop, and it's a shop where when residents come in, they go and grab the necessities that they need, no charge at all. There's never any charge. So that helps sustain that part of it for residents that are coming and going, especially kids that are between foster placements. And there was also, for the older residents, working within the food preparation for the rest of the building. people who work in the garden to get the food to the food preparation, and people who would work with cosmetology and preparing hygiene products for the rest of the residents. It would be a very self-sustaining community for these kids. So.
To answer your question about children under 18 going to schools from all around the area, that's why I would have social workers to transport them or work with the districts that they're in to provide transportation. Like if we're based in Kent, we could ask for GRPS to work with Dean Transportation to transport some of these kids. And if they're outside of that county, to work with the social workers.
As they do. Anybody else have another question? Comment?
I think, again, collaborating and bringing in partners. Again, I'm going to go back to the library, bring in materials to the house, sustain a small library within. I appreciate the answer about the social workers. I think that would be a good solution. And perhaps with the very young, you could bring in educators that could come into the home and work if individuals are not able to go to an actual physical location. People are accredited to teach, not per se homeschooling, but yeah, what a great presentation.
And I too don't have a question. I have more of a comment. As you were talking about the intake process that you had developed, and you've related this to Maslow's hierarchy, you led with books and toys and then moved to the essentials, and that humanizes your experience, and I appreciate the human factor first. So thank you for that.
Just a quick thought about funding. Obviously, as you're well aware, you'll need a good deal of it in a constant stream to make this sustainable. I'm wondering if you could think about partnering in ways with either companies or organizations that could benefit from the collaborative capacity of your shelter residents. If they could come together for, say, a community cleanup project several times a year, that would solicit a sizable donation from the city of Grand Rapids. If there could be some sort of focused pipeline into trade training programs for those older residents who are nearing the end of their teens, that could draw some sponsorship dollars from a large company that employs many in the trade, something like that to think about. So you're not always having to go after the same kind of nonprofit sphere of dollars that's out there, looking to partner with some commercial folks as well. So great job, everyone.
And thank you for your encouraging words. Okay, another round of applause as they leave the stage. And to wrap us up, we have Team Nova Vida, who is going to help us think differently about our fast fashion situation. Haha. All right, here they come.
Introducing our brand, Vita Nova. This is our team. I'm Elin.
I'm Perla.
I'm Riley.
I'm Raquel.
And I'm Scarlett.
Our brand, Vita Nova, means new life, a concept we're trying to bring to the fashion industry. While not everyone may be interested in fashion, the effects of the industry will certainly be present in each one of our lives. 148 million tons of waste will be created by the fashion industry by 2030. Fast fashion is defined as inexpensive clothing produced rapidly by mass market retailers in response to the latest trends. The fast nature of the fashion industry makes it a lead contributor in human-produced waste. This leads us to focus on the geographical impacts of fast fashion and how we can reduce waste in the fashion industry.
Our first idea was using hemp fibers, as it grows quickly and offers far more environmental benefits than other materials large industries use. We took this idea, combined it with our main goals and intentions of this product's use, and developed our brand's main components from there, such as our logo.
The summary of our solution is to push a mindset of upcycling clothes, combating the unfortunate norm of our society, fast fashion. We will instead be responsible for the clothing throughout the entirety of its life, instead of merely putting it into the market and not caring whether it ends up in a landfill. We do this through our partnership with a local hemp company. We purchase the scraps from their plants and use them to make our clothes and packaging. Each piece of clothing will go through many stages, upcycled through various styles, which will be further explained throughout the presentation. When the clothes become unusable, they are composted at our facility. The compost is then sold back to the hemp farm as a profit.
This is our product, a customizable clothing piece for everyone's closet. When we designed this, we wanted to make sure it was gender neutral and size inclusive so everyone can be sustainable. The customizable aspect of our piece is detachable sleeves and detachable patches. And there's a QR code on the tag, which I will explain in the next slide. The life cycle of our product starts with a long sleeve, then goes to tank top, and then accessories and patches. The QR code located on the tag takes you to our website, which shows you the life cycle of the clothing item and shows what stages it's been through already. And by returning your clothes, you receive incentives like discounts and free products.
While larger, more mainstream fashion industries only care for financial gain, we focus on a balance between money earned as well as the well-being of the environment, staff, and quality of our product. Our clothing is recyclable, biodegradable, and we actively encourage returning old garments back to us with discounts. We will also offer easy-to-use systems such as QR codes for the customer's convenience.
This is our plan of making our business fit the circular economy model. It starts out with the hemp farm, which then provides our factories with scraps, leftovers, and crop waste, which we will then manufacture into fabrics and to produce our products. This is then sold to the customers, which can return their products for us to remanufacture them into new products. Once the clothes reach their final stage of usage, they are composted and sold back to the hemp farm, completing the cycle. The material being made out of hemp, an abundant resource which becomes even more affordable when only the crop waste is used, allows us to create cheap fabrics. Not only this, materials made out of hemp is up and coming and makes up less than 0.1% of the global fiber market, making this a unique process.
Farm to fabric. We research how to turn hemp into fabric. First, you must collect the hemp from the farm. Next, the hemp goes through a dry process, which is then followed by wet processing. Then the yarn is spun and goes through milling and yarn drying. It is then cleaned, lubed, screen printed, and sewn. Next, it will go through a series of strings. Finally, it is set. It is ready to be packaged and transported to the store.
We also researched how to compost hemp clothing. First, the clothes are shredded, then all non-biodegradable materials are removed. For faster results, it's recommended that you use hot compost and add worms. After this stage, the compost returns to the hemp farm for a profit.
These are some challenges and solutions we've come up with our brand. And the first one is relying on customers to actually return their old clothes back to us. And the solution to that would be making easy accessible QR codes on the tags, which shows you where you can return them and coupons you can get by returning them. And relying on the hemp farm is another problem, making sure they provide us with enough waste to make clothing. And a solution to that would be using other biodegradable materials such as pineapple and banana leaves.
Testing our solution. To test our solution, we plan to talk to current business owners. We'd like to see what they think of our idea since they have an experience in the real world. These businesses would include a local hemp farm called Heartland and a local clothing called Clothing Matters. Thirdly, we found a website called Aerolube, which helped us make clothes out of biodegradable materials. Final summary. Our goal is to reach other businesses and individuals to achieve a sustainable community where we all play our part. We hope this has encouraged you to be mindful about your purchases and choices, and that you have found a new way to invest in our brand, Vita Nova. And remember, Next time you don't know what to do with your shirts or they don't fit you anymore, ask yourself, where could this shirt go? Thank you.
Very good. Very, very good. All right. Now we got a race. Tom Newhouse.
A design question. I'm a designer, so I have that kind of question. So you had that concept of winter clothes becomes a lighter weight. Why that? I don't see that it has to be that direction. It seems that that might shorten the total life cycle of the product before it got composted. But so, just a little more on that process and why you decided on the reductive, and I don't mean in a negative way, but smaller and smaller clothing or whatever.
We wanted to extend the life. I know it's not like, it's still taking away, but instead of just taking that clothing item and putting it into the compost, we wanted to take that clothing item and turn it into something else that someone else could use. And then from that item, it's like someone else could use it. Does that answer your question?
But what about reuse, second, third life of the same item? Clean it and resell it. I didn't hear you say that. Maybe you did, but I didn't. It seems to me that reuse on the hierarchy of sustainability is better than now having to reprocess it.
I'm going to jump in and say, is there an assumption that the elbows are going to wear out first and patches on the elbows are only for professors?
Well, while we were discussing this kind of concept, I do believe that we would not go to the next step with the clothing that we use until it is at a stage where it can't really be used as well as it used to. Like maybe there's too much damage on the product. And so then we bump it down to the next step.
I have a geography question because I was unaware. Can we grow hemp? Where are you located? Where do we grow hemp?
I would love to answer that question because our own alum, Corey Vanderswag, is growing hemp in West Michigan, in Zealand, actually. And he's been knocking on our door asking how could we play. So that is a cool geography question, isn't it?
So now it's a two-part question. So if you're in West Michigan and we're growing hemp in West Michigan, are you selling from a storefront? How are you addressing packaging and shipping?
From the manufacturers, and we after the farm, it's sold out in the businesses and it goes to the store, and we use the materials made out of hemp to make it be safely packaged to the house.
Three thoughts. Hemp farming equals CBD. So perhaps no? Is that no? Not necessarily, but I could see how if they're growing for that, the byproduct of the hemp. Okay, never mind. Second thought, remix versus reduce. So perhaps taking product and remixing it into something else usable. It's not per se clothing, it's some kind of a textile product. Third, super great opportunity for education, something put into your packaging, talking about some of the information you provided in this presentation.
We come up plan to advertise our product by knowing the difference between what we have versus what more mainstream products have. And as for the mixing part, I do feel like that could be another feature of business. Just another part that we can sell as other products under the same name.
Cool idea.
So just a point of clarity, earlier in the presentation you had shown a patch that would go on, and that seemed to be the idea was that was removable. And then later in the slides, I saw screen printing as a step in the process. So I'm just curious, what are your options for putting graphics or other designs on the fabric, and what steps are you taking to make sure that when it comes time for composting, you haven't diluted your compostable material non-compostable chemicals or other materials.
I love a chemistry question in a design school.
There's actually a material place up there, and we found a biodegradable ink. And for the screen printing, we wanted to do screen printing on the patches itself instead of on the shirt, so you can remove it and change it out, so it's not permanent on the shirt.
We were hanging a material connection.
Yeah, just I made you aware of this. In our core Wege Prize, we've had teams of college students, graduate students, post-grad students from all over the world tackling this same problem. And it is a thorny one, as you pointed out in your first slide. So hats off to you for really sinking your teeth into a sprawling, complex, and pressing issue. I think you've got a really compelling idea. I would echo those comments of playing that life equation. You know, point hosting happens that as get anything back, or maybe if coming because it no longer someone, maybe there's an opportunity for a kind of secondary line that you offer that is a reused line. Maybe it costs a little less. Maybe there's some other incentive to buy it, or it's just marketed in a different way. Folks who would rather buy that than a brand new garment, you have to keep in mind that production of the hemp is still fairly energy intensive. So as much as you can on your side, limiting the amount of new material that needs to be made can only help you out. But kudos, fantastic idea.
Okay, now here comes some of the fun parts. Tara and I are gonna hand out some certificates because we promised you some certificates. So I'm gonna read off some names. I think Tara will hand off. We'll do Vita Nova first because you're here. All right, we'll start with Elin. And then Raquel. And then Riley. Oh. Scarlett Lee. And Perla. Bravo. Thank you to all of you very much. It's a joy to hang out. And then how about Coach in Community coming up? Can all y'all come up? I'm just gonna look over your shoulder again. I know them all by heart. Esteban. And Jordan. And the one who came the farthest from West Iron in the UP, Riley. And Leo. And Cece. Thank you very much. And then let's have Luna's come back up. Now, I promise if you would like these in a PDF format so it fits in your resume nicer or on your portfolio nicer, if you swing back to me in an email, I'll be happy to provide it for you. I know digital is cooler. All right, Estelle. And Nevia. And Martinez. I'm just making sure I get everything right. Right. And Aaron. Torin. Thank you all very much. Bravo, bravo. And then I have a closing paragraph that was well written for me. Okay, although this is our last day in the studio, the work does not end here. That's what a teacher would say. There's much left to be done, much left to learn and explore. Each one of you has the ability to carry these projects much farther. Keep asking questions and pushing boundaries. And above all, keep having fun. We're clear on that, right? Congratulations to everyone who participated. We look forward to seeing you compete in the big Wege Prize in the future. Thank you again and again.
we all just want to say from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for doing it and for organizing this and putting on this amazing event. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabby.
Yeah.